taking off where we left this last time. You know, we had to pull all this center out to get to our hydraulic fittings on the inside of this compactor here. Now, in the last video, I didn't have a puller that would pull this center hub off. I had a quick rummage through the steel scrap pile and found a bit of 25 by 25 solid square steel and a bit of 8mm plate and just sort of slapped it all together. I did have to buy the bolts though. And got a bottle jack on it, so let's I'll chuck these on the tripod and let's see if we can press this plate off and start pulling this all down and hooking our hydraulic lines up. There we go. Got plenty of grease on it, which is good. So it was actually on a tapered shaft. That's why it was so hard to pull off. It literally like bent. I was watching this bend as I was pumping it, and I was like, geez, that's not going to pull it off. Lucky I gave it a bit of a dong with the hammer. So now we should be able to put some bolts back in here and this whole flange should come off. I've just got to be real careful. At least this seal still feels pretty good. Nice cobwebs. I was a little bit concerned these would be all hard and brittle, but they I'd say because they've been really lathered up with grease, it's saved them. We've got a massive big roller bearing in there. That was lucky. So that motor right in front of us, that's the main motor that drives the drum. And off the side there, you can see that's the main motor that drives these counterweights in here, which makes it vibrate. And judging by these two bolts here, it's probably full of oil, so I'll probably change them out when we put it back together. So, and also it doesn't have the brake in it. On the other drum it must be, when you stop this compactor, or the old compactor, it would put a hydraulic brake on it so it can't roll away. So we don't have to worry about pulling that out, but this motor right in front of us, we can get rid of that one, pull all those hoses out. And by looking, that hose looks easy to get to, but the other hose is crammed. I'm not even going to be able to show you on camera. Oh, there it is. I wonder if I can change the light. There it is. So that's going to be real joyful to get to. We're probably going to have to, I really didn't want to, but we're going to have to pull this shaft out, which means pull this whole side apart. Hopefully this isn't too heavy. That main hose right there, the end of my finger, that's what's holding it from coming out. So we're gonna have to undo that one. That one's pretty easy to get to. So we'll bang that one off, slide him out. Oh man, I underestimated the weight of that thing. This would be over 100 kilos easy. You can sort of get a better idea of how it all works now. Pretty simple really. That motor would turn this bottom housing here, which there'd be a bearing in here, and you'd probably literally have to press this off. This would all be one big sealed unit. Would you press it off, or has it got, oh no, it's got bolts on here. But pretty much we're going to yank that motor off. I'll just chuck that in storage somewhere, and this is ready to go back together. I will just give it a bit of a clean up because it has got condensation rust everywhere. I'll just get rid of that and spray everything in an oil, and then just give all this is like sand in it. But I'll give it all, I might even get the hot wash in there, because see all in here, that's all sand and stuff. And then I'll give it all a good blast out, but I won't until I get our new hoses on, because I want to seal up this motor before we go getting any debris in there, because our hoses are all open there. I'd hate to mess up that motor. Got a massive big gear in there. This thing's actually pretty well made. Everything is way over heavy duty. I might even cut them all flush to that point, and then we can pretty much measure from there. So I'm gonna measure them all. So I think what I'll do is I'm gonna take these lines with me when I go to get them made. I'll cut them off flush to this plate so then they're all the same length, so then I can tell them I just need them a meter longer from these existing hoses, because like I said a minute ago, they're all different lengths inside the drum here, and I don't want to get them all made the same length because they'll be 100 mil difference in length, which won't look good up here, and it just won't work. So I think for the minute our hose pretty much clips onto up there, so it's about 720, and that's dead straight. So we're going to have to allow for them to sag a little bit. So I'd just say, look, 750 to the short hose. Now we'll just tip it up, because I want to be able to flick this up and flick the dirt off it if you get in sticky red mud or something like that, and saves you getting. I know it's got these cleaning bars on the side, but if you've got a big clump of dirt up here, I want to be able to lift the arms up and flick the dirt off and put it back down without pulling the hoses off. So I think now we'll just tilt it up and just see how much these hoses are going to grow, and we'll make them a little bit longer to suit, but I don't want them so long that they're going to get all tangled up in here and just be sort of a nuisance, especially getting pinched in the cylinder or something. So I think I'm going to have the hoses off like this something, and then have a mounting plate here, so if you do for whatever reason tug on the hoses or something, it's not going to pull them or bend the fittings inside the drum here. Just more of a precaution really. See, that's not even all the way over, and yeah, they become massively long now. So now they're about 1.50 meters. So we've grown 350 mil. So now we'll flick it back. So if we say, I think we said 1.50 meters, I think we said. So that means the hose is pretty much, this is going to be hard to do because it's a tape measure. A bit of rope would actually be quite alright, but it's basically going to be, or not unless the hoses flick over the side or something like that, so the hoses might be able to run around and then plug on. I think that's going to be it. Now I don't need to mark these because they all go in their specific spot with the bends on the end. Like this one's got a 22 degree that can only go on that outside of the motor there. This is our case strain that's physically smaller, and then it's just a standard straight fitting. So I'm going to take these to the hydraulic shop now and get them remade 1.50 meters longer than what they are now. I just went and got our new hoses all made up, and I also got some hose protective plastic to put around it, just because the old hoses were rubbing right here as they sort of come off the motor and bent round. So hopefully that stuff helps protect it a little bit. I think we'll do the hard one first. This was that 45 or 22 degree one. Get the hard one done first, I think. I think now that we've got those hoses all on, it would be a good time to test that we've got no leaks and that it's actually gonna work. I've got some spare couplers to put on the ends for the minute while I wait for the new ones to arrive. Once we know it all works and we've got no leaks, I think we'll get the steam cleaner out, give it a good cleaning, change the oil in these counterweights, and then we can start throwing it all back together. Now I won't put the other pressure line on just yet. I want to start it and bleed out all that old oil. Even though it was clean, you don't know what's in the motor. There might be some contaminants in there or something I don't want to put back in my machine. So I'll grab a bucket, we'll start it up and just see if it's going to work. So not only will we have the other pressure line, we'll also have the case drain. And I don't really want it squirting. Yeah, that'll be alright. Got something leaking up in here, or is that just shaking out? I think that was shaking out. But that definitely works. It's actually a lot quieter than I thought. I know it's up on it's up in the air, but it sounds all right. You can hear when these counterweights spin up. That sounds kind of cool. I filled up that bucket a little bit too much, but I was having fun watching it vibrate. At least we got any contaminants that were in there out. If you notice there, I did try it on high flow, but it just labours the motor too much. So normal flow it is. Anything over half throttle is perfect. We've also got no leaks in here. The oil down here, this was already in it when I pulled it apart. So I don't know what that's actually from, whether an old hose was leaking or this main counterweights is leaking. I don't know. There is a little bit of wetness on the other side where the drain plug is. So we're going to be draining this oil anyway, so I'll make sure to seal that back up when I put it together. But how cool did the counterweight sound when they were spinning up? I thought that was pretty sick. And if you also took note on how much these rubbers were taking up the vibration, I can still feel it in the machine. It definitely vibrates the machine a bit, but these rubbers were absorbing heaps. Like, it definitely needs them. It was a good idea keeping them. after I got done yesterday pressure washing this thing out, the weather just turned for the worst. It pretty much rained for the rest of the day. But I went ahead and just reconfigured our hydraulic lines here. I put on this top hydraulic hose mount just to see what it would look like. But we're now ready to put some oil in this thing. Now the book recommends a 30 weight oil or equivalent, which is a 32 or a 68 hydraulic oil, and our oil level is pretty much straight through there. So I think it holds just under a litre. But when you pull these drain nuts bolts out, the counterweights are right there, so it's going to be quite hard to fill up. So I reckon I'll just quickly pop that hydraulic motor off, and then we got pretty much a full hole to fill it up. And I'll just undo that to make sure we're at the right oil level. Now my theory as to why this was full of oil in the bottom, when this is all put back together, there is a access point right here. There's a nut on that outside big outer flange, so you can get to this oil and drain it. But where's the oil going to go when you drain it? In the bottom. So this, I'd say over the years, because this is an early 90s model, it's had many oil changes and all the old oils just sat in the bottom, which again isn't a bad thing because that oil's going to splash around and stop condensation rust in there. But it also explains why there was oil in the bottom. Now there is these two main bolts in the front here that you can drain excess water and oil out of the center. But when this is in the compactor, how are you meant to tilt it up on end? You wouldn't. So, and I didn't actually find in the book how often you got to change the oil in this, but I can't imagine you'd be changing it too often. I mean, it only says it has, I think it was a couple hundred hours on the old machine anyway, so this may be a very low hour, I don't know. So I just came around here to put this bung in and the oil was already flooding out, which tells me we didn't really get much oil out of the bottom here. And I'm pretty sure the book actually recommends you pull this out to drain it, which would make sense. So I screwed that bung in. I've just filled the oil right up to the bottom of the top bung, as you can see there. And I think I'll just undo the bottom one, let out couple hundred mils, and the oil will probably, I don't know, be halfway between the two, and I'll call it at that. I'd rather there be too much oil than not enough, and too much oil is not going to hurt it. It's just going to make it a little bit harder to spin up these counterweights. And I know it's a shame because we went to the effort of washing it all out, and now we're back to having it full of oil again. So I'm just going to put a touch of gasket maker on this face here. It didn't have it before, but it had some kind of, that's what this stuff is here. That's, again, it's going to be hard to tell, but it had some kind of gasket or something there that sealed it. So if we can just put a little skim around, I think that's going to be just as good. And when I say skim, I mean I'm just literally skimming it around, because you don't want it so much that it's hard to get off. we're about ready to put everything back together. Now, I won't bore you with cleaning up this oil. I will clean up these faces before we go putting it all back together, just to make it slide together better. I bought brand new hardware for it all, and I will go around this and double check we're all, see we've got a bit of dirt and a bit of stuff there, just might help it go in a little bit easier. I didn't mention before, but that flange is where the brake motor would bolt onto, if you're wondering what that was. This one, it's got to line up. Oh. About there, I think. I had to quickly pull it apart again and put that plate in there, otherwise oil would have spilt everywhere. This bearing around here runs on oil, So that's why we've got our 3 bolts there. Geez, I don't know about this colour. This was the only yellow I could really get from a hardware store, and it's a gloss. I wanted more of a satin or a matte. This is like fluoro. Yeah, that color is absolutely terrible. I'm gonna have to get some stuff mixed up, I think, closer to the factory, whatever this was. I was gonna cut I have got an offcut of that steel there where it's not faded. I was gonna take in, it's actually more like a cat yellow. So I went and got a couple cans of cat yellow. You can see down the bottom there, I've already tested it and it looks a lot better than this fluoro yellow, whatever paint this is. So let's finish painting it. We just got done with the first coat and it's coming up pretty good. I do like the colour of cat yellow. It always looks nice. Heaps better than that fluoro yellow anyway. But I don't know if you can tell, it is a very windy day today. So that's the reason why I'm not wearing a mask. If it wasn't, I would definitely be wearing one. But I think we'll just finish this off with one more coat. I just got that last coat all finished off. I also got these painted, and I went ahead and did the inside of the drums as well. So now we can roll it back in front of the shed there, start getting the drums on. We'll bolt them back on. I've got all new hardware for it. I want to get the rubbers all mounted back on because on the attachment plate we've still got to put our lifting hooks on it. I pulled it apart a little bit too early and forgot about those, so we'll have to quickly weld them on and then we can paint the attachment plate. So I guesstimated the height that these hooks were going to get welded on at, and as we sort of sit now, they're about 15 mil of clearance around them. It's going to be hard to get the camera in there, but and when I did the notch in them, I made the notch forward more because obviously as the front counterlever's over, it's going to pull this bushing and housing forward. So I wanted there to be enough that it catches on the edge of that hook. I really thought they were going to be kind of ugly looking, but you can barely see them in there. I also went ahead and put these gussets on here too. But alright, I think we'll grab the skid steer. I can't lift the whole thing up because I've only tack welded it, but I just want to make sure we've got a lot of clearance. These rubbers are going to stretch enough, which we already know they do, but I just want to make sure before I weld them in that they're going to grab on our hooks that we've just made. Well, they're grabbing on the front edge, as you can see there and there. So I think we can, I'm pretty happy with that. I think we can weld them in now and call this done. Well, we got her all finished off, and how good does it look? I think that colour scheme come up really well. It was kind of a shame I couldn't get these new bolts here, but to get a 16mm bolt, 15mm long, I checked everywhere, I couldn't get them. But they don't actually do anything, they're simply there to protect the threads. It's you pull them out and then put the longer one in to pull the drum off. But I'm glad I didn't go with that other colour, that fluoro yellow. That just looked horrible. I'm glad I ordered some new paint. The cat yellow come up really well. Painting all this black so it sort of breaks up the yellow as well. Looks really good. And I know these lines look very long, astronomically long. But again, when I get that real sticky mud and it starts clumping up here, I want to be able to flick it off. Not have to get out with the shovel and sort of clean in here every time. But I can't wait anymore. I'm pretty excited to use this thing. I was washing the excavator here the other day. As you can see, the dirt is all sort of loosened up. So I think this will be the perfect bit of ground here to test it out. I really thought it would have smashed that rock up. But I don't want to keep running it like it is. My case drain line runs into this bucket here, and I've already spilt it twice. As you can see, there's remnants of hydraulic oil on the ground and all over the front of the machine. But first thoughts on the compactor is it works really well. I'm surprised it hits that hard for such a little thing. You can see the ground here before we mess around with that rock is nice and compacted down. I think this is going to be quite a handy bit of equipment to have around, especially when doing those small shed slabs or your footpath or something like that, because you're already going to have the skid steer on site. To have this on the back of the truck as well is just going to be a bonus. Now, there is a few little things I'm going to have to change on it. With these lifting hooks that we put in here, I really wanted to test putting all the machine's weight on the compactor here, but I couldn't really do that because when you do so, it pushes obviously down on this plate, and then these rubbers sort of sink back in and it hits on the edge, as you can see, of our lifting hooks, and it really puts the vibration back through the machine, and I don't want it to do that. So I think we're either going to have to redesign these, cut them off, and I'm thinking either bolt something on the top here that sort of comes round and hooks under, that you can remove when you need to pull this all apart, because I think putting them there we're going to run into that problem every time, even though they work really well for lifting it, and when you're sort of compacting there you can get it right, but when you really want to put weight down, it like I said a minute ago, it rubs on those hooks. And I know I got a comment in the last video about putting a lifting hook up here, and I think I will do that. Next time I have the plasma out, I think I'm going to just cut off the original hook that was on it and then just weld that straight on the top of that. But this was a really fun project. I had a good time making it. We've just got to fine tune those last little bits, and then it'll be ready to be put to work. But the next major thing we're going to do is with this machine, it doesn't have auxiliary case drain, and this is only the 450, and I know the 925 does, so we're going to have to look at doing that. Now, what makes it hard on this is the hydraulic tank, but I'm pretty sure one of these two lines in here is your case drain line. So I'm hoping we can just tap off one of these lines in here, and that way we only have to run just a nice hose down the arm with these ones, and I can literally drill through there and put a quick coupler in here, which there's plenty of room, so I think that's going to be the easiest solution with that. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you really enjoyed the project as I did. So I think I'll make another little short video on putting case drain on this machine, fixing up those lifting hooks, and putting a main lifting hook in the front.